Clara Bennett entered the lobby of a modest branch of Bennett Financial Solutions, a bank she'd established decades earlier. The late afternoon sun cast elongated shadows over the sleek stone flooring as the automatic doors slid open. Her steps echoed softly in her low-profile sneakers. She straightened her loose-knit sweater, a deliberate choice for anonymity. This visit wasn't for a board meeting or a high-stakes deal, just a routine withdrawal from her personal account, the sort of task anyone might handle on a weekday. Bennett Financial Solutions was Clara's brainchild, born from a conviction that equity and approachability should define banking. She'd navigated the institution through crises, always prioritizing customer trust. This branch, in particular, held significance. She'd hand-picked its site, supervised its launch, and cut the ceremonial ribbon. Today, however, she wore no power suits or polished heels. No one here needed to know she was the founder. Approaching the teller counter, Clara maintained an understated presence. She sought no special treatment, only to observe whether her bank upheld its promises. The clerk, Emma Carter, glanced up briefly before refocusing on her monitor. Clara cleared her throat. "Hello, I'd like to withdraw some funds," Clara said evenly. Emma pushed a clipboard toward her. "Fill this out, please," she replied, eyes still on her screen. The form requested standard details: name, account number, amount. Clara scribbled swiftly, noting $5,000, a modest sum, yet enough to require ID. As she returned the paperwork, Emma's posture shifted. Her gaze darted from the form to Clara's driver's license, then back. A beat of silence hung in the air. "Just a moment," Emma murmured, retrieving the ID and vanishing through a frosted glass doorway. Clara waited, drumming her fingers lightly on the counter. She'd anticipated professionalism, but this delay felt unnervingly deliberate. A few minutes later, Emma returned, accompanied by Ryan Mitchell, the branch manager. "Good afternoon, Miss Bennett," Ryan said, offering a strained smile. He glanced at the form. "You're making a withdrawal?" Clara nodded. "Yes, $5,000 from my account." Ryan paused. "May I see your ID again?" Clara's irritation flared, but her voice stayed steady. "I already provided it to Emma." Ignoring her, Ryan held the ID under the light, scrutinizing it as though searching for flaws, despite Clara's decades-long history with Bennett Financial. After a beat, he asked, "What's your occupation, Miss Bennett?" Clara's tone sharpened. "I own a bank." Ryan nodded slowly, exchanging a glance with Emma. "Is this a personal or business account?" Clara gestured to the form. "It's clearly stated there." Ryan turned the ID over, avoiding her gaze. The lobby's usual buzz had faded, replaced by brittle silence. Clara's frustration simmered, but she kept her expression unreadable. Emma stood rigid, eyes darting between them. Ryan cleared his throat. "Miss Bennett, I'll need to ask a few more questions before approving this." Clara braced herself. "Is this your first time banking with us?" Ryan asked, his tone deceptively casual. Her stomach clenched. She designed this branch, hired its staff, and inaugurated it herself. The question wasn't about procedure, it was about doubt. "I've banked here since it opened," Clara replied, unflinching. Ryan hesitated, then asked again, "And you're withdrawing $5,000? What's your line of work, Miss Bennett?" Clara was stunned. Hadn't she already clarified her profession? She'd stated she worked in finance. She owned Bennett Financial. Did he need a dossier? "I run a bank, Ryan," Clara replied, her tone fraying. "The same one you're employed by." Ryan paused, then pressed, "What type of bank?" Clara's fingers tightened on the counter. This wasn't protocol, it was a challenge. "I own this bank, Ryan," she said, steel in her voice. "I founded Bennett Financial Solutions." A loaded silence followed. Ryan's demeanor shifted, but not in recognition. More like recalibration. He wasn't verifying details. He was probing for leverage. "I see," he said finally, though his expression betrayed skepticism. "Personal or business account?" Clara's patience frayed. "Personal. It's written plainly." "What's the holdup?" Emma fidgeted behind him, but Ryan ignored her, scrutinizing the form as if hunting for discrepancies. Clara stood rigid, refusing to perform obedience. Ryan looked up, his gaze probing. "So, you're withdrawing $5,000 from your personal account?" "Yes. The paperwork is complete. What's the issue?" Without answering, Ryan flipped the form, feigning diligence. Clara's frustration simmered. "I'll need further verification before proceeding," he said at last. "Further verification? My ID, account details, everything's provided. What more could you possibly need?" Ryan paused, then posed a question that made Clara's blood boil. "Can you confirm the amount of your most recent deposit?" Clara's hands clenched. This wasn't standard protocol, not for a $5,000 withdrawal, not for a client with decades of history. "I don't memorize transaction amounts," she said, striving for calm. "But you have my account number. Look it up. Do your job." Ryan ignored her, his gaze clinical, as though dissecting her response for flaws. The silence stretched, heavy and charged. "We prioritize security," Ryan said, rehearsed and hollow. "Just a precaution." "A precaution," Clara echoed, disbelief sharpening her tone. "What are you implying, Ryan?" No answer. Instead, he slid a clipboard toward her, its edges scraping the counter. "Fill this out again. Policy requires it." Clara didn't budge. Her account number, ID, and legacy at Bennett Financial Solutions should have sufficed. So why this charade? Why force her to prove ownership of her own funds? "You're saying my ID, account details, and history here aren't enough?" Her voice cut through the quiet. "You're demanding I validate my right to access my money?" Ryan didn't flinch. The clipboard sat untouched between them, a petty gauntlet. Clara's pulse hammered in her ears. This wasn't about policy, it was about power. A test of her authority, her belonging. And Ryan was failing spectacularly. Clara stood motionless, her gaze locked on Ryan, fury simmering beneath her calm exterior. She wouldn't fill out another form. She wouldn't tolerate this charade. Not here, not in her own institution. "Ryan," she said, icy precision in her voice, "this is absurd. I've banked here since its inception. I opened this branch. Now you're forcing me to prove I belong." Ryan's mask slipped slightly, discomfort flickering across his face. Perhaps he'd finally grasped the gravity of the situation. "You might want to double-check, Ryan," Clara said, her tone steel. "I'm not just any customer." Ryan said nothing, frozen as Clara retrieved her phone, hitting record without breaking eye contact. The lobby's tension thickened, other patrons sensing the confrontation. "You're denying me access to my account," Clara declared, her voice ringing clear, "despite valid ID, while others face no scrutiny." Ryan paled but stayed silent. The security guard, lingering nearby, shifted uneasily. "And you?" Clara turned the camera toward him. "Why are you here?" The guard hesitated, glancing at Ryan. "To ensure smooth operations," he mumbled. "Smooth operations?" Clara's tone dripped with disdain. "Or to intimidate me into knowing my place?" Ryan squirmed, pressing a hidden button. A second guard entered, posture rigid, hand near his belt. Clara didn't flinch. "You're really escalating this?" Ryan cleared his throat. "We aim to ensure a smooth experience for all clients," he recited, hollow and rehearsed. Clara raised an eyebrow. "A smooth experience?" "Let me be clear, Ryan. I'm not leaving until this withdrawal is processed. And if you think I'll tolerate this treatment, you're mistaken." The lobby's silence grew oppressive. Clara stood unwavering, her gaze piercing Ryan, who now sweated under scrutiny. The security guard shifted, uneasy. Patrons and staff alike watched, feigning indifference or too captivated to look away. Clara inhaled sharply. "Ryan, you're refusing a legitimate withdrawal despite valid ID. You've summoned security as though I'm the disruption. Why? Because of how I look. Because I'm not in a suit today." Ryan's facade cracked. He opened his mouth, but Clara interrupted. "No more excuses," she said, voice steely. "This is about bias. You've decided I don't belong here, and now you can't undo it. She lifted her phone, recording him. This is on record, Ryan. Everyone here is a witness. Refuse this transaction, and I'll ensure the world knows why. Ryan faltered, glancing at the guard, then Emma, who avoided eye contact. Clara's words hung heavy, a challenge to his authority and the prejudice simmering beneath. Clara leaned forward, her tone lethal. I built this bank, Ryan. I founded this branch. I approved your hiring. And still, you can't process a $5,000 withdrawal. Ryan's face paled as reality struck. Clara continued, her voice slicing through the tension. Let me reintroduce myself, Ryan. She retrieved her ID, flipping it slowly. This isn't just any ID. This belongs to the founder and CEO of Bennett Financial Solutions. The room froze. The security guard stiffened, Emma blanched, and patrons exchanged uneasy glances. Ryan's hands trembled as he stared at the ID, authority slipping from his grasp. I built this institution, Clara said, unyielding. I approved the budget that funds your salary. I walked in today as a customer. No title, no fanfare. But you treated me like an intruder. Humiliated me. Lied to me. Now choose. Process this withdrawal, or face the consequences. Ryan gaped, speechless. You had your chance, Clara said coolly. Now, you'll explain this to corporate. She turned to the guard. If a customer isn't disruptive, intimidation isn't protocol. Be mindful of whose orders you follow. The guard nodded, chastened. To Emma, Clara's voice softened but carried weight. You saw my ID, my account, yet you dismissed me. Emma flushed. I was following protocol, ma'am. Protocol reserved for people like me? Clara shot back. Emma stared at her register, silent. Clara exhaled, letting the silence linger. She turned, heels clicking across the marble floor. The lobby held its breath as she exited. The aftermath was swift. By morning, Clara convened an emergency leadership meeting. All branch managers reviewed customer service policies. Ryan was terminated. Mandatory bias training rolled out, alongside accountability measures. Bennett Financial transformed, employees mindful, customers noticing, Clara ensuring change endured. Clara never forgot that day. A testament to the truth. Progress isn't born from policies alone. It's forged when someone refuses to accept injustice and demands accountability. And Clara Bennett was precisely that person. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw someone being abused or mistreated? Share your experience in the comments. If you enjoyed this and want more content on inspiring Black stories channel like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and remember, real courage is not fearing the consequences, but prioritizing justice over comfort.